Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. So today I would like to share some stories with you, a couple stories, about when I had gone for alms round in Hawaii, in Kaua'i. And there were two incidents that happened, and I would like to share with you how loving kindness was able to resolve these issues with just a really wonderful way. And so I'd like to share with you one of the quotes from the Dhammapada, and it's Nahi virena virani samantida kudachanam avirena cha samanti esa dhammo sanantano. So what does that mean? Indeed, hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. It is appeased by non-hatred alone. This is the eternal law. So, if you encounter anger and hatred, a natural reaction is to, again, give hatred back. And this is how push comes to shove, and shove comes to punches, and this is how wars sustain themselves for centuries and even lifetimes. So the way to get rid of anger is to do it with loving kindness. This is the way to reduce and even stop the anger and the fighting from happening. And otherwise, it'll just continue to grow and go through many generations until people forget what they were originally fighting over. They forget the original cause for the anger, and this is a problem. But if we have loving kindness, then everything can work itself out. Now, sometimes it doesn't work, but you yourself know in your heart that you did the right thing by doing loving kindness. And in the long run, this will protect you the best. So I have stories about loving kindness. I brought my bowl. Today, I went for alms round in the village, and I felt inspired to share some stories about when I was walking in the village in Hawaii. And the first story actually happened later, and the second story happened earlier. And so I'd like to share with you what happened. So when I was in Hawaii, I was alone. It was the second time I've been there, and I was going for alms round for quite a long time, and I was alone this time before I had another monk with me. And I was there for a year and a half, and I was going for alms round in this certain neighborhood for about a year. On 2 days per week, I would go to one neighborhood. 2 days per week, I would go to another neighborhood. Like that, I would do on a rotating weekly schedule. And normally, on one of the days, there was a schedule change. The Thai restaurant that liked to feed me, they wanted to change the day that I came, and so I changed my schedule for one of the neighborhoods that I was going through. Now, when I do alms round in Hawaii, I started a tradition of my own, maybe my own invention, or I'm sure senior monks have done this in the past, where I wish loving kindness in front of each house. I wish loving kindness in front of each house because it gives me something to do while I'm waiting in front of the house. I have to wait not too long and not too short. We have to have a reason for them to see us. In America, people are, they're on the internet, they have the aircon on, and they might not see us. They might be walking through the house and might see something outside their window, and then eventually come out and ask what someone is doing. And I was doing this for 1 year, and I was also in Hawaii for 6 months with another monk. And so people, they sort of knew what we were doing. A lot of the times they thought we were blessing houses, and they didn't know that we were collecting food because our bowls look like drums. So it's a very, sometimes it can be very difficult to let people know that we're collecting our alms food because it's a different culture and they're not so acclimated to the culture of monks collecting alms food. So I stand in front of their house and I do loving kindness meditation, and I chant these 4 phrases. Awira hontu, abhyavaja hontu, aniga hontu, sukhiyatanam pariharantu. So we chant these phrases. What does it mean? It means may you be free from enemies or hatred, may you be free from mental trouble, may you be free from physical trouble, may you be well and happy. And so this is what it means, and we focus on this, and we send loving kindness to the house, and this is what we do. And it's a very happy moment for me, and I can be very happy because I'm radiating loving kindness to each house. And if I don't get any food from the houses, at least I did not waste my time and I kept my mind wholesome. So one day I was going in this neighborhood, and we had a schedule change. And while most people who had the same schedule, they knew what I was doing, they knew who I was, etc. But that day there was one person who didn't know what I was doing. He saw me in the neighborhood, and he saw me from his house, and there I was standing in front of each house. Awira hontu, abhyavaja hontu, aniga hontu, sukhiyatanam pariharantu. So I'm wishing this loving kindness to all of the houses individually, and radiating loving kindness. And I'm facing the other direction. I have my eyes closed. I'm doing a meditation, and I hear this voice shouting out of someone's house. I don't even know where it is. And I hear this voice, and this man is saying, hey, get out of here, And I don't know what's happening. I think maybe he's yelling at his kids or something like that. But then I start to realize that it might be directed towards myself, because it's said a few times. And if I don't want to make people upset with my presence, but I have my job to do. I need to get my food. I'm not breaking the law as long as I stay on the road and I'm not creating any disturbances, for instance, like with traffic in terms of that disturbances, and I keep moving. I don't stand there for like a half hour and make noise. Then everything I'm doing is perfectly legal according to American law. I can actually even ring the doorbell and start preaching to them about Buddhism. that's perfectly legal to do with the American freedom of religion and freedom of speech, and the people can go door to door and sell items. It's part of the old system and how people made their livelihood. But we don't ring doorbells, and we don't preach to people like that. Because of that, it would be a little strange if I went on the property and I was silently wishing loving kindness. So I stay on the road so it doesn't freak anyone out. And these days we hear about guns getting pulled on people who go on their properties. So as long as I stay on the road, I am quite safe. So I didn't want to back down with this person who was maybe yelling, and he even said, "Don't make me get out of my house." And but I was a little further away from where he was, and I figured, I would just make my way away from his house, and I wasn't on his side of the road, and I was across the street. I figured it wouldn't be so much of a problem. So I'm ready to move to the next house, and all of a sudden this man is coming out towards me. Now, Hawaii is a very lovely place, but the local people can be quite rough, and they're very protective of their neighborhoods, and they're very protective against outsiders, and they don't particularly like outsiders, especially coming into their onto their island even. So that is a problem. So he came out, and I had to be quite careful. And but I had the power of loving kindness with me. And so I just finished loving kindness meditation. I was doing it a few houses before, and I was continuing to do that. It's a very wonderful practice. We can do it for like an hour and a half for an alms round, moving very slowly from house to house. And he says, "Hey, I thought I told you to leave. I don't want you looking at the houses." And I told him, I said, "I'm not looking at the houses." I said, "I have my eyes closed." He says, "Oh, you're lying." I said, No, I have my eyes closed. I'm doing loving kindness meditation. And that's, I have my eyes closed, and I'm wishing loving kindness to the houses. May you be free from hatred. May you be free from mental troubles. May you be free from physical troubles. May you be well and happy. And he says, "Oh, that's beautiful." So quickly he was very angry at what I was doing, and then I explained to him that I was indeed practicing loving kindness, and I wasn't looking at the houses. I mean, momentarily I look at the houses, but while I am just standing in front of the house, no, I have my eyes closed, and I'm practicing loving kindness. And so it's a very nice practice, and I radiate loving kindness. And I think when I told him about that, he was able to relax, and he was able to maybe get a taste of that loving kindness. And he said that it was beautiful, and he just totally calmed down. And this was very, very nice. And I told him, I said, I was a little worried there for a second there. And he says, I have an anger problem, and you actually saw my good side. And we started to talk, and I tried to tell him about meditation, and I gave him my number, and we became friends. And like a couple of weeks later, he's like yelling my name, Bante. This is how they knew me. My name. I would introduce myself as Bante. Actually, that is my legal name. My legal first name is Bante. And so he'd yell out, "Bante, how are you?" When he sees me on the street. And he never saw me before. And he was worried about the neighborhood. He was worried about people maybe doing, what do you call that, looking scoping out the area. Perhaps you would want to rob the neighborhood, rob certain houses, or check which houses were suitable for going inside and stealing things, etc. And he didn't know who I was and what I was doing. But after that, he found out that through loving kindness and that power, he found out that I was doing wholesome things and that there was nothing for him to worry about. And so that's one way where the power of loving kindness was able to keep trouble away and to cool down the tension and the anger that has arisen. Now, there's another story. I was with the Venerable Devananda, and I invited him to go to Hawaii with me, Kaua'i, this very special island, and we were going alms round again twice, one road every 2 days, and another road, another 2 days. We were able to get fed every day through the generosity of people. And it was very wonderful. So one time we were in a neighborhood, and it was a new road that we were going on. We had switched neighborhoods, and we were on this road, and this lady with a bicycle and her child came to us, and she asked us, who are you? What are you doing? I'm Christian. Now, when they say that they're Christian, within the first line of when they first meet you, usually they're not really interested in anything you say, just from experience. But sometimes they are. But it's usually like, I'm Christian. Whatever you say is not gonna affect me in any way. It's almost like holding a cross to a vampire. That's the way it somehow sometimes it feels like that. And but anyways, when someone says that to me, I make it my opportunity to explain what I'm doing. I tell them that this is my bowl, and we are going through the neighborhoods. We're wishing loving kindness to each house. And we don't touch money. At that time, it was maybe 17 years that I haven't touched money. Now it's nearly 23 years that I haven't touched money. And I say, this is how we get our food. And I remember her saying that if we took Jesus in our hearts, we wouldn't need to look for food or something like that. And but she was not, as much of a Christian she was not interested in giving us any food. And she told us that if you're monks, you belong in a monastery, you shouldn't be going in the neighborhoods. There are kids here. And like our presence was really bad. And so I said, what we're doing is perfectly legal. If you want to call the police, you're welcome to call the police. I was not afraid, because I knew what I was doing was very legal, and I invite them to get educated by the police, actually, that what we're doing is fine. I said, you can call the police if you want. And then she says to me, well, don't go down this road, because this road is a private road. Now, when we have public roads and we have private roads, usually they're made at different times, and they use maybe a different process to make the road. It's very easy to tell when something is a private road. Usually the quality is actually less. And this lady left after she said that, and the route that we were going on was that road that she told us not to go on. We've been there a few times before, I guess. And so I was determined to just continue to do my regular route. If there's a few people who don't want us on a road, then we can pick another road. That's perfectly fine. We're not in the business to make people feel uncomfortable, but if it's just one person, we can avoid their house and not stand in front of their house, and we can go on the other side of the street, etc. So I'm looking and I see that that road that she told us, which was private, was not private at all, and it was the same type of asphalt, and it was built the same time, and there were no signs that it was a private road. Usually they also have signs, this is a private road, and there was no such thing as that. Later I actually called the police to confirm, is this road private or public? And it was confirmed that it was a public road. So this Christian, this devoted Christian just lied to us. But anyway, so we're going down the road, and all of a sudden, she was with her child on a bicycle. All of a sudden, she was gone, and then there were maybe 5 or 6 children. Ages could range from like 6 years old to like 11 years old. 12 years old, I think, was the maximum. And there were just a gang of neighborhood kids on their bicycles. And they started yelling at us, beat it, get lost, go away. And they just kept, we don't want you. And the kids just started trying to do what they do best, and trying to bully and scare us away, probably sent by their mother, who is trying to protect the neighborhood from harm. So anyways, we were going through the neighborhood, and they were shouting at us from afar. They didn't usually come. They came like within 50 feet of us, but not much closer than that. And actually, they made a lot of noise, and people started to look out their window and see what was going on. And we actually got some food that way because people never noticed that we were out in front of their houses. And I remember actually there was one lady, she came out and she says, "Hey, can I help you?" And so we told them what we're doing, loving kindness. This is our bowl. And she said, "Well, can I give you some bananas?" And we said, "Sure, of course." And so I remember even to this day, it's from 2015, I think, and she brought a bag of frozen bananas, probably for her smoothies. A lot of people eat smoothies in Hawai'i, Kaua'i. So she gave us the bananas, and the kids saw that whole incident, and they were very clever. They started shouting again, beat it, get lost, and they were very clever. They said, "Monkey want a banana," get it? Monk and monkey, so they knew we were monks, and they're just kids doing their bullying, and all this time while they were doing this bullying, we would be practicing loving kindness. And while we were practicing loving kindness, normally when we practice loving kindness, we try to spread loving kindness to all beings, no matter whether they are a respected person or a respected person, a dear person, a respected person, ourselves, a neutral person, or a not liked person. And the last one is the not liked person. There are 4 types of beings: ourselves, a dear person, one who is a neutral person, and the one who is disliked, and or someone who dislikes you. And so we naturally spread our loving kindness to the kids. Actually, I didn't know what the other monk was doing, but I knew in my mind that's what I was doing. I was spreading my area of loving kindness to include the kids who were yelling at us. And when we were doing that, we were smiling, and we had a happy face, and so it was there was loving kindness all the time. They were giving us the anger and trying to scare us away, and we just had this loving kindness energy radiating towards the houses and also towards them. And we finished our alms round, and it was just oh my, it was unbelievable what they were doing. It was beyond our imagination that anyone could do something like that. And we had to compose ourselves because we actually had a house dana on that day, and there was a Dhamma talk on that day, and so we quickly recovered through the power of loving kindness, and then we did our alms round in other areas. It was the second day that we went, and then a week later we ended up in that neighborhood again, and the kids were waiting for us again. And so again, we would wish loving kindness and to the houses, and the kids would start their mantras: beat it, get lost, monkey want a banana, get out of here, get lost. And they would just repeat this and over and over and over again. And we didn't give them any reaction. And it sort of spooked them. It spooked them because normally when you give anger, you get anger back. And that's why they give it. They wanted us to get angry. But we did not show any anger towards them. And in fact, it was loving kindness. We were smiling at him. I was smiling at him. Bhante was ahead of me, senior than me, and we were practicing loving kindness. It was actually it was a challenge, but it was natural to. It was like a challenging situation, but it was also natural, and they started to get spooked, and they got a little quiet, and they started whispering to each other. While we're just moving from house to house and wishing loving kindness and staying with our loving kindness radiance. And they started getting quiet, they started whispering, and then all of a sudden one of them says, "I'm not afraid," and then he starts to chant, "Beat it, get lost," and the other kids, they started to join in with him. He was probably the leader or something like that, but they were getting a little spooked. And because they've never seen this before, and so they did this, and then we went down that road, that was supposedly private, and they didn't follow us to that road. And we had a moment where we were alone, and I asked Bhante Devananda, I said, "Are you wishing loving kindness to the children as well, including the house?" And he said yes. And I said to him, it almost worked. And he said, "Yeah, I know." And we could feel like the power of loving kindness was starting to work. And then we maybe we got some food that day as well. I think so. I think I remember another lady came out, and we went up the street again. It was like a side road, and we went up the street, and we didn't see the kids anymore. And then we started working our way back, doing the other side of the road, and eventually making our way back home. And then we saw the children riding their bikes, and they came from behind us, and we thought they would start their hate phrases again, but instead each one slowly rolled by us, and they waved at us, turned their head, and they said hello. And the next one came and he said hi, and another one came and said hello, and one by one, each one of them, they said hello to us. And we just gave the same smile as when they were yelling at us. We gave the same smile of approval, and maybe I gave a little nod of the head, like, yeah, this is the right way to treat anyone. And and maybe they felt that things were set back to normal or something. And obviously they got spooked, and perhaps one of the reasons why they got spooked was because we were giving loving kindness to them, all the while they were giving us anger. So this was, sometimes I can get emotional because it's really wonderful how the power of loving kindness can really indeed work in some areas that can be very dangerous. And so it's very important to practice this. And I'd like to give one more story. I know this is long, but I'd like to give one more story. And I was in India. I was in India with a group. It was sponsored through the monastery. And they tried to create some groups which were harmonious. And one monk, he had this squirrel that he was taking care of, and he had it like sort of captured. And I was like, you should let it go. And I sort of motioned that you should put it on the tree, like put it on the tree. And he got very offensive about that, about what I said, and then he was very offended by what I said, and then I said, you should calm down, and I put my hand on his shoulder to tell him he should calm down, and he hit me. He said, "Don't touch me," and he hit me, and I said, "Wow, you just hit me," and he says, Go tell the teacher." And so he told me to tell the teacher, so I told the teacher. And then I told the teacher, and the teacher stopped talking to this monk, and he knew he was in trouble. That's one of the ways that a teacher can handle the student if the student feels the teacher is very dear to them. They can just stop talking. And but one of the problems was that we were going on a trip to India together. It was a Buddhist pilgrimage, and he was the most senior monk in our group. And I needed to ask him for permission to even open up a window or to sit down, or so many things we have to ask the senior monk for permission in order to do. And he was sort of by default the group leader, and he was holding a big grudge against me. And throughout the whole time, he would just treat me very terrible, and they were passing out medicine so that we wouldn't get sick, and he would just like skip over me when he was passing out the medicine, and he just wouldn't recognize me, and it was a problem. One of the monks said we should have a meeting. Can we both forgive each other? And I was openly willing for that, but he wasn't. And we came to an agreement that I didn't need to ask him for permission to open up a window or to stand up. I could just pretend I could ask the next senior monk, who is from Taiwan, if I could open up the window or stand up or whatever, and I didn't have to. This was agreed, but he still insisted on keeping a grudge against me. And so the time went on. It was, I think, a 12 or maybe a 12-day trip that we went on. And near the end of the trip, we had gone to some food stall to get some food. We had some helpers with us. There was a group of, I think we had 10 monks with us, and we had a couple of kapiyas with us, helpers, who paid our way. And we went to a stall, and we basically just, bought them out. We wiped them clean of all the food they had, because the monks eat a lot of food, and there was about 10 of us at an odd time, maybe around 10:30 or something like that, and so they didn't have enough food. And that day, actually, this monk was doing something in the bus, and he didn't come until much later, and I had taken the last of the food, and there he was coming with his bowl, and there's no more food in the shop, and I had this big smile on my face. I said, I want to offer my food to Bhante, and he was in a position where he decided to accept, even though most of the time he wouldn't recognize me. This was his meal. If you don't eat, you don't eat. You don't eat for the rest of the day. You go hungry. And so he accepted my food, and I tried to give him as much as I could before he stopped me. And but he definitely got a meal from me, and I was very happy, and there was I was able to eat my meal, and I was very happy as well. And I don't know how he felt about about him getting the food, but I was very happy that even though he had treated me this way, and it's a very important trip that we had, I was able to stand on the higher ground and also share with a loving kindness, and to be able to share with him my meal. And so that was very nice. The following day, he's in charge of giving people. We're in Nepal, and we're in a tea shop, and he's giving tea. And he says, do you want tea? He skips over me. Do you want tea? Do you want tea? Do you want tea? And so he skips over me, and I just couldn't believe after that incident. Maybe he'd soften up, but he was just doing his the same thing that he was doing before, and so it was disappointing to me. But again, just move on and live your life. And so the rest of the trip was pretty much like that. And you just try to not give anger back. And I came back, and actually, I think it was Venerable Devananda, and I came back, and one of the first things he says to me, because one of his friends was also on the trip, and he says to me, I heard that you won. I heard that you won. And I said, no, obviously he was referring to, giving the food to this monk who was giving me lots of trouble. I said, no, I didn't win. Afterwards, he still treated me terrible, and terribly. And he says, but you still won. You controlled your mind. And it was a very good lesson, that sometimes loving kindness doesn't always work. But the main thing that is important, that you should control your own mind, and that's how you really win. But actually later, this monk, he apologized to me, and we forgive each other. I don't hold a grudge against you, and whatever. And this is how monks are. We try to be peaceful and harmonious. And so that's also eventually I did really win, with the objective of eventually having peace. And so sometimes this happens. You think about like monks always being peaceful, but we're living together, and sometimes there are disagreements that happen. And I wanted to share that story, because sometimes you might wish loving kindness towards someone, and there is no loving kindness given back. And so what you can do is you can remind yourself that you don't need actually a result when you do the loving kindness. It's all within your own mind. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. And so there are 3 stories. We have the kids on the bicycle. We have the person who was angry at me for going from house to house, and he told me to leave, and I told him, my eyes are closed, I'm not looking at the houses, and then I told him about loving kindness, and then he softened up. And then there was another one with the kids on the bicycles, and the kids on the bicycles were shouting at us, and when we projected our loving kindness and spread our loving kindness towards them, they got a little spooked. They knew that they were doing the wrong thing, and eventually we could say they apologized in their own way to us. And then lastly, sometimes loving kindness doesn't work, and we're still doing the right thing, and also in the eyes of other people, when you do the right thing, that also matters the most as well. But the most important thing is our own mind, protecting our own minds. And so the Dhammapada quote is Nahi verena verani samanti dakudachanam averena cha samanti esa dhammo sanantano. So this is the Dhammapada quote, and it means, indeed, hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. It is appeased by non-hatred alone. This is the eternal law. And so try to remember this. Try to know that the power of loving kindness is very important, and it calms things down. It keeps the mind wholesome. And people can indeed feel it, and other people can feel it as well. And so it's very important, very central to Theravada Buddhism. We chant the Loving Kindness Sutta nearly every day, sometimes multiple times per day, and it's very central. In most monasteries, it's tradition, required, whatever, we just do it. Nearly every monastery has this as part of their program. So I hope that you can take these stories, bring them to mind, bring them to practice, calm down the mind, calm down the minds of other people, and as well as your own mind, so that you can see the Dhammas clearly, and seeing them with the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, that they're impermanence, suffering, and non-self, and seeing through that to see all the realities, and then going beyond the realities to reach Nibbana Supreme. So that's it. May you reach Nibbana safely and quickly. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.